Ann McKinley with Ann's Kitchen and Bath Design. And the purpose of my presentation is to inform. A lot of you probably already know a lot of this information, being in the industries that you're in, but hopefully you'll come away with some new things that you hadn't thought about, you didn't know before. Now, we all knew or heard of universal design and accessible design, and then we had aging in place. Well, that is being replaced with living in place. The living in place, it encompasses all kinds of information. Okay, what we're talking about, we want to make the home safe, healthy, and comfortable for everyone, not just for the great-grandmother, but also for the little child that's living in the house. In the US alone, we have 20,000 deaths a year, 7 million disabling injuries, and 20 million trips to the hospital just because of accidents in the home. So we want the home to be safe, healthy, and comfortable for everyone. Let's start off with the things that are simple to do, the things that don't cost too much to change out. Cabinet pulls. These are what not to do. You don't want cabinet pulls such as these up here that you have to grasp and pull out. You know, think of arthritis, things, problems with gripping. You don't want things that stick out, that have edges on them so that you can hang clothing up on, and that can cause tripping and accidents. You don't want things that have hanging out that have sharp edges, definitely. My mother cut her leg open when I was a teenager on one of these kind of pulls. So what do you want? You want to see nice smooth pulls, things that have a nice edge on that go all the way down to the cabinet. You want to be able to get 2 fingers at least in those pulls. These are also good for being able to slide a wooden spoon in to pull open if you don't have that curling of your fingers that you need to get these things open. Okay, where am I? Where's my pointer? There it is. Let's move on to door handles themselves. We all like the lever handles, and they're good, they're nice, but there's good ones and then there's bad ones. This is a poor example of a lever handle. It's smooth, the same size all the way across. What we really want to see are handles that have some sort of indication that the end is close by, so that when as your hand is gripping it and sliding, you feel that there's an end coming. You get to where I have a tactile indicator, such as this one to the left that has a little hook on the end. It's very similar to the previous one, but this one has a little edge to it, so you feel it with your hand. And then, of course, the other one has a nice curve to it where you can kind of feel it tactilely that the end is here. Flooring, non-slip floors. Okay, the small tiles are often used in bathrooms, especially on shower floors, because of the grout. It's the grout that provides the non-slip surface, not the tile. Tiles can be slippery, you know. But I really don't like the small format tiles. They're a cleaning nightmare, you know. So I like to use the bigger format tiles. Well, what can you do? Sometimes they get slippery when they get wet. And even the shower, I like big format tiles. Well, there's this nifty little product called InvisiTread. You can put it on tile, stone, concrete. They even have a version where you can use outside, outdoors. InvisiTread. You may have to replace it or mop it back on about every 3 or 4 years, but it does provide a great non-slip surface. Okay. Grab bars. We all know grab bars are useful. Okay. Grab bars in the shower. But what about grab bars for your towel bars? When you're outside the shower and you're about to fall or slip, you're going to grab anything you can. And often the towel bar is what's handy. So make sure that towel bar can withstand a weighted person against it. Now, let's see. And grab bars everywhere. How about around the toilet? As you notice, grab bars don't have to look institutional. You know, they can look nice. These here are from Lifeline, but Kohler makes them, Moen makes them, Kinney makes them that don't look real institutional. And as I said before, You know, you're going to grab anything you can when you're slipping. Okay, but what makes this an easy change out? You're thinking, probably maybe thinking, well, how do I know there's anything back behind that to support it? You know, you didn't plan for this beforehand. You don't have to. In fact, they're encouraging people to use devices like this nowadays. This is a in the wall gripper. It's for it's a hollow wall anchor. This one particular one is Moen Secure Mount Safety Wall Anchor. Delta makes them, other companies make them. This particular one can support up to 500 pounds, where the ADA only requires 250. You can mount it in tile. You can mount it in against the other surfaces in the shower, like fiberglass, or even just drywall, like you're maybe putting it with your towel bar, provide a surface for it. It's a nifty little gadget to have. Okay, handrails. You know, we try to avoid stairs when we're aging and all, but sometimes if you're wanting to stay in your home and you have stairs in the home, make sure your wall area has handrails on both sides. Make sure you have not just where the main drop off is, as in this one, but also against the wall over here. Add one there, because when you're starting to slide, you're going to reach out wherever, and you want to make sure that there's something to grab hold on. Okay, now we've covered the easy things to do, the less expensive things to do. Now I'm going to move more into a little bit more effort, a little bit more money cost-wise. Toe kick lighting. This is great, especially in the bathroom. You know, if you're going to the bathroom in the middle of the night, put toe kick lighting in, put it on a motion sensor. As you walk into the room, it lights up. It lights your way to the toilet or wherever you're going to go without blinding you in the eyes. What makes this one more expensive is that LEDs don't use much electricity, but they still need electricity. So you got to have some electricity somewhere. Okay. Lights, again, lights inside your kitchen cabinets, such as the quarter cabinet. That can be a very dark area back in there, hard to see. As we age, of course, our eyes get dimmer and we don't see as well. So we need to have lights and all kinds of things. So we hadn't thought about putting lights in before. Now, I did see some motion activated LED puck lights that you can install in something like this. And you do want motion activated, so when you open the door, it actually comes on. So you don't have to do anything else. But they're run by batteries, and I really don't like the ideas of having to change out batteries a lot. So, you know, you could make it an easy fix by using those, or you could get something that's more hardwired in. Okay, task lighting. More lights. Can't have enough lights in the kitchen or the bathroom. Task lighting underneath the wall cabinets. And if you wire them all together, put them on one switch so they all come on at once. Okay. Now, for kitchens and bathrooms, if you look at the box of lights when you buy lights, you're going to find all kinds of information on that nowadays. One part of the information is called the color temperature, the Kelvin. The higher the number, the wider the light, more like daylight it is. So like a 5,000 Kelvin is going to be a cleaner light. And that's kind of lighting you would really prefer to have in the kitchen and the bathroom, where you can actually see the colors of the vegetables, colors of the fruit, the way they're supposed to be presented. Whereas the yellower lights, the 2700 Kelvin lights, is more what we're used to with incandescent bulbs. And they're a warmer light. They're a light that's often used in bedrooms and living rooms and those kind of areas. It's a friendly light. So just keep that in mind, that you can even change moods of rooms by changing the temperature of the light. Okay, more color cues. Of course, more electricity. But these faucets are Kraus Urbex faucets. I took this picture at the Kitchen and Bath Industry Show last year. And I get to go this year too, because it's going to be virtual. It starts next week. I'm excited. And these faucets are actually black when they don't have hot water running through them. As the water heats up, the color changes to one of 4 colors, whichever faucet you choose: blue, green, red, or grayish, light grayish white. And when the water runs cold, it goes back to black. There's other kind of faucets you can get that have color indicators that aren't quite as blatant as this. You can get a faucet that has a little red indicator light that'll come on when the water is running hot through it. There's another faucet that I really like. It's called the Moen U. It's a voice activated faucet. You can tie it in with, do I dare say the names? Alexa and Google. Sometimes when I say those names, they come up and start talking to you. But you can tie them into that, and you can tell your app to tell the faucet, tell Moen to dispense a half a cup of water, and they'll precisely put out a half a cup of water. I know if you're anything like me, when you're in the kitchen cooking and I need a half a cup of water, I'll pour the water in there, look for the meniscus. I got 3/4 of a cup, pour some out. I poured out too much, put some more in. So I think this is a great idea. It also will dispense at a temperature that you request. Like if you're doing yeast spread and you need a certain temperature for that yeast, you can tell it to dispense a certain amount at a certain temperature. It will run the water until it hits that temperature, turn it off, and let you know that it's ready. And then you tell it to pour, and it will pour out what you need. So those are some interesting items that are coming across. But like a lot of things, it requires more electricity. So one of the things I'm starting to do in my design business is putting more plugs underneath sinks and vanities underneath sinks in the kitchen. And the toilet, a bidet. Okay, bidets actually started getting more popular in the US last year with the scarcity of toilet paper for a while. But I personally have never used a bidet, but everyone that I have talked to that has, they just love them. And so that's another thing I'm putting in all my designs. I'm putting electricity by the toilet. Even if they don't want one now, they may want one in the future. And the electricity is there because you need to have warm water. The water going to the toilet is cold. You need to have you need to warm the air up. So, when it starts blowing on your bottom there, you don't get a freeze job going on. But bidets are mounting in popularity all over. Oh, one more thing I want to talk about on that one, though. Wait a minute. Go back to that. A couple of things I wanted to point out here. This is a wall-mounted toilet. It makes cleaning around it, under it, a lot easier. So that's a kind of nifty thing. This one does not have an exposed tank. The tank is actually in the wall. I saw one of these at the Kitchen and Bath Industry Show last year, and I was asking them, how do you maintain the thing? Because every once in a while you have to change things out. This whole cover on the wall comes off, and actually you can get your arms down in there fairly easily and pull things out and put things in. So that worked really well. Okay, we're still in the bathroom here. More electrical. Okay, plugs in the drawers. Docking station has a nifty little plug that you can put in the drawers. It's not just a plug, it has a whole network behind it to put your wires on so the wires don't get pinched as you close the drawer and open the drawer. But something I really like about this that helps with the older people and the younger ones is that when you can buy an item from them that when you close the drawer, it actually cuts the electricity off. So if you leave the curling iron on and then you close the drawer, the curling iron will actually turn off. There was one time when I was curling my hair and went off to church, and then in the middle of the sermon, the pastor was saying, now forget about what's going on around you. Forget that you left your curling iron on. Then I thought, oh no, I left my curling iron on, and I had. Okay, let's move back to the kitchen. I need a drink. Microwaves. They need to be below the shoulder, so do not use them as a vent hood. I know it's nice to get them off the counter, and that's an easy way to do it, 2 things at once. But think of children, think of grandma, pulling that hot thing out of that microwave, a mug or a casserole or whatever, and it ends up getting tilted and it spills on them. Prevent spills, prevent accidents. So either put them on the counter, which could be an easy, cheap fix, or mount them in the cabinetry. Here's one that's mounted kind of a little bit below the countertop, but not too much. But you can mount them down in the cabinet, in the base cabinet. Roll out shelves. Okay, one thing we're trying to prevent is having to stoop over too much. You don't want to have to be crawling around on the ground to reach things. Also, roll out shelves, especially in pantries, are a wonderful asset. Think of a 2-foot deep pantry. It's 2 feet there. It's kind of narrow, 2 feet deep. Sometimes they're 2 feet wide, sometimes 18 inch. 2 feet, sometimes 18 inches. And you never see what's at the very back, at least not until you move, and you find all kinds of things back there then. But when you have pull-outs, I had this in my previous home, and you could pull out the drawer, pull out the shelf, and I laid my canned goods down so that the labels were facing up. So I could just pull out the drawer and I could read exactly what I had in there without having to mess with anything. I pull out what I wanted. Also, pull out shelves. This is my kitchen. My husband made these for me. And they're wonderful because now I don't have to get down on the ground, scrounge around to try to pull out this heavy crock pot from inside the cabinet, pull it out, and then get up on the counter with it. Now I can just pull out the drawer and kind of reach down a little bit and pull it up and put it on the counter. No more sitting on my butt to access this stuff. So we're trying to prevent a lot of bending over and and having to dig to the back of shelves. Corner cabinets can be a real hassle, a real problem, especially blind cabinets. So I like this one on the left. It's a great option for blind cabinets. That first one slides in and then over, and then the next one slides in and in. And, this way you have full access to that corner. You don't have to get down in there and scrounge around and pull things out to reach things. If you're redoing the whole kitchen, you might consider drawers. Drawers are often better than doors. And just put drawers in the corner cabinet. And then if you're really into going all out, there's this item down here in the corner that's a lift. Has a blind cabinet lift. That way you press a button, it lifts right up, and you pull out what you want right there at cabinet height, and you press the button, it goes back down, and it has a seal around it, so if you spill something on the cabinet, it does not fall down into the cracks. We're still in cooking. Okay, oven. If you have a wall-mounted oven, this is great. Just like the microwave, you want it at a height where it's easy to access, easy to pull things out of. Now, the French door oven is a great option because in that, you open the doors up and you pull out your casserole, whatever, right there. It's right there. You don't have to lean over this hot oven door to get to it. I tend to burn myself a lot when I cook. So I like cooking, but I do burn myself sometimes. And this is a great idea. Okay. Cooktop. Now this one is a must-have idea when you're dealing with older people and children. Induction cooktop. The way it works is through magnetism. And if you put a magnetic pot on it, when you turn it on, it will heat the pot up. I wanted one of these in my last purchase of a range, but none of my cookware was magnetic. It's high quality, and I didn't really want to have to buy more high quality cookware. But that's something to keep in mind. Some people are worried about grandma wearing a metal bracelet and it hitting on the burner as its own. It won't heat up. It has to take something the size of a coffee mug before it will actually start heating. And you do have to turn them on, but if you move your pot away and you accidentally leave it on, you won't get burned. Now, there has been times when I have an electric, just standard electric range, and I've left the cooktop on after I cook, I move the pan away and I forget to turn the thing off. And I'll be sitting in the dining room and I'll look over there and I was like, oh, my burner's bright red. It's on. And so we don't have to be real elderly for that kind of stuff to happen. I don't consider myself really elderly. Okay, raising the dishwasher, less stooping. Here we go again about the stooping. 12 inches off the ground, you can actually move your dishwasher up to 36 inches away from your sink without any problems. You need some landing space on each side of the sink. That's why we're not raising it right next to the sink. But this is a great idea. You know, like I said, we're just trying to keep from having to stoop over so much. Pull out range hoods. I want one. I want one. How many of you bang your head on the range hood when you're working close to the stove? This one only operates when it's pulled out. Otherwise, it sits flush, pretty much flush with your cabinetry, your wall cabinets. So you push it in, and it's not a head banger at that point. Okay, let's talk color a bit. Contrast is good. You need to have contrast between heights of things. As you can see in this picture, there is a black countertop and then there's a white flooring. So when you're looking down, you see the black and the white, and that's a color cue telling you that, yes, there's a difference of heights here. In the island, you see, even though this white countertop does not provide much color cue against this white floor, but there's a little bit lower countertop that's wood, a dark wood. And so that contrast of color shows you that there's a little bit difference of heights there. This is what not to do. You know, this is a 3D floor. You'll really freak your guest out putting one of these in. But you see how the light and the dark, if you try to walk on this floor, how it would make you feel like, you're going to fall through or something. That's an exaggerated example, but that gets my point across. Here's another showing some contrast between a sink and the countertop. Now this, you may not want to go this vibrant, but this really makes a good point, where the depth of the sink is at a different height than your countertop. So that's good color cue. What I want to point out about the sink also is that a lot of people like deep sinks, one so deep they can bathe the baby in. But you don't have to have that kind of a depth in a sink for it to be good. In fact, you really want only about 6 to 8 inches, because if you have a really deep sink, you're going to be stooping over, and that really gets to your shoulders and back, especially if you end up washing much dishes at that sink and having to go down to the bottom of that sink to get to things. So you only need about 6 to 8 inches. Sinks can be mounted on your standard countertop, of course, at 36 inches, but consider changing it to 34 or 38 inches if that's more comfortable for you. Cabinet companies are getting to be a lot more accommodating for changes in sizes. Multi-work areas. You need, they highly recommend about 3 different levels of work areas. Like here we have the standard countertop, and then we have a table close by. It's at a different height. And over here in this other picture, we have, excuse me, the pastry cabinet, which is at a lower height than the rest of the cabinetry. That allows, children that want to work in the kitchen fine, even adults. I find that if I'm having to mix something, mixing like this, and I'm having to stoop over and really get on my toes sometimes to get comfortable, because it's really hard on my elbows and arms and shoulders because I'm having to raise it up so high to mix. But if I move it to my dining room table, I can mix a lot more comfortably. Rounding the corners. Okay, if you have a peninsula, something sticking out that has a hard surface on it, if you round that corner, that provides a more of a guiding area to get you back into the other space. Whereas if you have sharp corners, you're going to come up And if you start turning to go into the space, you might have misjudged and run right into it. I'm good at misjudging things. It took me 40 years to be able to go through a doorway without running into the frame. I think I need cat whiskers to tell me where everything is. Wall cabinets. Okay, there are two types of corner wall cabinets. The kind like this, which is great. I love this kind. This has basically two doors that are hinged in the middle, so you can open it up. And just like the regular wall cabinets, you can see everything you have. This is called an easy reach cabinet. The other kind of wall cabinet is an angled corner cabinet, which has one door that opens up, and you get in that little space, and you have to get in there and get to everything. And it's not nearly as nice of a cabinet to have to use. Though, however, the angled corner cabinets are usually the least expensive of the cabinets. That's why they're often used. Okay. Outlets and switches. Mounting, where do they mount? If we move the outlets up to 24 inches off the ground and the switches down from 48, which is standard, down to 44, then a person in a wheelchair can more easily reach them. Also, if you move the light switches down to 44, children going in and out of the room can more easily reach them. There is no code saying where to mount these, how high to mount them. I started looking around the house, at my house, and most of the items I plug into a wall outlet are things that are sitting on desk or on tables. And I was thinking, why are we putting these sockets way down low, these outlets, so that you have to reach down with the cord to plug them in? So this is something to consider. Okay, these are bathtubs without showers. Okay, if you have a bathtub and you really need to have at least a 10-inch ledge on the front of the tub. You know, this one is either a drop-in or undermount with a platform around it. That way you can sit down on it and swing your legs around and get into the tub. And this bathtub to the right actually has a built-in platform on it. Okay, what if you have somebody says, well, I really want one of those fancy standalone tubs? Well, you can get those with ledges on them too. It just makes them going into and out of these tubs a little bit easier. No step showers with a linear drain. If you have a shower that you really want to do a no step so that you can easily get a person in a wheelchair in, or just keeps from having a tripping hazard going into the shower. If you slope it constantly down to the back, then you put a linear drain at the back of the shower. And that provides, the water flowing down toward the back. Excuse me. Getting dry. Okay, linear drains are great. You can also do with a linear drain like this, you could do a solid porcelain slab and slope that thing all the way down to the back. I like the idea of that because no grout, no mold build up in the grout lines, that kind of stuff. And remember Invisitread, so you have that too that you could use if you're worried about slipping. Also, the same picture, but here I want to emphasize where the controls are. There's no law that says you have to have the controls underneath the shower head. Put them where they make sense. Put them at the entry where you can just reach in, turn things on, let it warm up, and then go in. Heated tile floors, yes. We did our bathroom last year and we put in a heated tile floor. I love it. My husband loves it. The cat loves it. But what we wish we had done was put heated in the walls. Now I understand that some jurisdictions won't let you put heated elements in the wall themselves. Maybe they think that you're going to add something in later, maybe like a grab bar, and that's going to possibly poke holes in it. but they have their ideas. But you can put them in the shower floor, and you can put them in the shower tile, shower seat, so that you can sit down on that and it'll be nice and warm and not cold. A great idea. Okay, we're not going to talk about tile, the grab bars right now. We're going to talk about the tile. What you need to see is something to break the eye, usually about 60 inches up. Imagine this whole white tile without that strip in there. It's just all white. You can't get a feel with your eyes of where it is. You know, and it kind of lends itself toward vertigo. So you need something to break the tile so that your eyes can focus and find the wall, and it'll settle down and not make you so dizzy. So, and this one has just a total break with a whole different tile at a certain point. Entry, we talked about no step showers. What about a no step entryway? We have the tile floor on the entryway, maybe limestone or whatever on the inside, and it flows continually out to the front. This only works if you have an inset door, an inset entryway from the outside. You need some kind of cover. However, what makes this possible is this nifty little device from Pimco. It's a drop door seal. As you close the door, this little button on the side pushes in, and that makes the seal fall down and hit against the floor and seal. Makes a nice tight seal. Air doesn't let air in, doesn't let water in. It's a great idea, and you're going to have your solid entryway all the way through. How about the size of the door? You know, we've always thought of 36 inches as being a nice wide door, but now we're recommending 42-inch wide front doors and, well, exterior doors in general. Interior doors at 36, but exterior doors at 42. This makes it a lot easier for wheelchairs, walkers, moving furniture, things like that. And also hallways inside the house at 48 inches. And that's all I have time for today, I believe. I do have Innovations newsletter I put out about once a month. If you're interested, and you sign up on my annsknb.com. And I'll put out information about what's new and latest and greatest in the kitchen and bath industry. And since I'm going to the kitchen and bath industry show next week, I hope to come back with a whole bunch more good information for the coming year. And thank you. Any questions?
Anyone have any questions for Ann?
Yeah, I have a question.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, Ann, so a lot of these, as you pointed out, are a little more costly, and clearly someone who has money is who can afford these. So for individuals who may be working with families or seniors that are, you know, are on a lower income, what do you recommend what are the few things that you can recommend that they can do that will fit within their budget?
Well, the few things
Like
that
immediately.
the few things I mentioned up front, changing out hardware on the cabinetry, that can help a lot if they have the wrong type of hardware. Checking the tile in the bathroom. If it is slippery, you know, use something like that in Visitread. It doesn't cost much, and can be a lifesaver. Let's see. And the grab bars, you know, the grab bars can be added, you know, nowadays without having to have plywood or wood backing back behind the stuff. You know, that's a great way to go.
Yeah. Okay.
And this is Fred Young, and first of all, I really appreciate the information that you shared. The term living in place is new for me, and I like to keep up with, you know, how things are evolving in terms of the, you know, languaging we use in our business and with the elderly. And I'm curious, is living in place out there as becoming kind of the new term, or is this a little bit more related to the, you know, safety design kind of piece? And then in related note, it seems like that can become complementary. So you can both talk with people about aging in place in general, what we do. And then when it becomes to living in place, we talk about interior design and the things that we actually do to help people make that as safe and comfortable and pleasant as possible.
Yes, the aging in place is more geared toward thinking about elderly, about the not being able to move as well, trip points, not being able to see as well. Where living in place is geared more toward, as we're getting more into multi-generational families living together, making it usable for everybody in the family. It's kind of like, I guess, what you'd consider to be universal design. I kind of wonder if they keep coming up with these terms just so they can keep selling new credentials to people.
Cool. Thank you.
And this is Michael Crawley. I have a couple questions for you. One, what does your typical engagement with a client look like? Are you coming into the home and producing a list of recommended improvements? Do you also actually install the appliances or counters or whatever you end up recommending? And second question is, what geographic area do you typically work in? Is it just focused in Charlottesville?
I'll answer the second one first. No, I've done work in Fredericksburg, Richmond, Charlottesville, so just kind of a large area. And I do, for at least the initial visit, I will go into the house, and since I'm a kitchen and bath designer, that's what I focus on, is kitchen and bath. I do laundries. Excuse me. But I would go into the house, talk with the potential client first and see if we're a good fit, because we may not actually be what they are looking for, And then if they hire me to do the design work, that's what I do, is the design work. I'll come up with a design that works for them in their space and what they want to accomplish. Excuse me. I have a client in Richmond who I just did their upstairs bathroom, and she wants me to come back and do their downstairs bathroom because she has the idea that maybe one day when they're going to be incapacitated and maybe having to live downstairs. And so she wants to make sure that one is going to be a usable bathroom for them. But let's see. And then I don't actually do, if it's just the cabinet install, I can do cabinet installs. Between my husband and I, we can do the cabinet installs. But if there involves a lot of more expense involved in it, I can point them to some different contractors that I know in the area.
Great, thank you.
And me again, two things. I would encourage you going forward to show some of the work you've done, because clearly you're doing work out there to help people live in place and doing some before and afters. So, and number two, do you think as more and more homes are being built, I remember you saying that there was no code, I think, for where the switches and the outlets go?
Yes.
Do you think in time, because people are living longer and they want to stay in place, that builders will bring up the outlets and lower the switches?
Well, if they're smart, they will, but they tend to do what they're used to doing. And so it's hard to change that mindset in that industry. So unless people like me tell them this is where it needs to be, they won't do it.
Okay,
Is that hard?
there.
I'm sorry. I think I interrupted somebody.
Go ahead, Andrea.
No. I was just gonna ask, is that something so difficult for them to do, or the industry to change? I mean, it sounds simple to me.
Yes, it is very simple. It's just that's not what they're used to doing. And there's so many things that can be done in the construction industry that, there's people called working with building science that are trying to make these changes more universal for the builders.
I think that Regina had something. It looked like she just ran off to answer the phone, so we'll give her a second to come back. Anybody else in the meantime?
Question or a comment. So my stepdad is he kind of renovates homes for clients, and he has a lot of older clients. But if they don't specifically ask for these things, is there like some top things that he should be pointing out to them for possible changes? Like even if they just ask for like a new walkway or something, are there things that he should be considering for them?
Yeah, he could consider almost, excuse me, I'm losing my voice. It depends on how far they are willing to go into what the renovation is. Because like was pointed out, some of these things can be pretty expensive. But he could go in there and make some recommendations from like that kind of stuff.
He would work with you on that.
Yeah, he can work with me on it. Where is he located?
He's in Texas.
Oh, we moved here from Texas about 6 years ago. Yeah.
He's in Huntsville.
Oh, okay.
He can do.
What I was going to identify that could be helpful is it depends in part, this is Fred, on the functional limitations the person has. So a home safety assessment, if there's consideration being given more holistically to what are the priorities, a home safety assessment by a home care agency, a professional in healthcare who will know their physical and sometimes cognitive limitations can be helpful.
Yes, it would be. I have seen some lists. I'm thinking, where did I see that list? I may have a copy of it somewhere that had it was a checklist of things to go through and to look at. Yeah.
Yeah, I know, for example, with Visiting Angels, we have a home safety assessment that we offer for free for our prospects. That it's a checklist that is already built into our scheduling software that we use for that. So.
Oh, that's great. Yeah, that's a great idea.
I think, again, a personal one is very significant, but otherwise than that, another checklist, AARP has some materials like that as well.